Test takers usually tend to panic when they see such lengthy constructions, but I've always advised my students to actually feel happy about lengthy sentences because in such constructions, GMAT usually tests for multiple concepts together, which means there is actually more options to attack a particular question. As you may have seen in other videos, I usually scan the beginning of the answer choices, the end of the answer choices, or close to commas to find crucial differences among the answer choices. Even in this case, there are some key differences at the beginning, end, and close to commas, but the best difference that we can use is what is right next to the commas, the difference between have yielded and yields. This is an obvious trigger for the concept of subject-verb agreement. So we just need to check what have yielded or what yields evidence that something is happening. And we can see that the subject is actually there in the non-underlined portion, the first trenches. Now this is GMAT's usual habit of putting a lot of clutter between the subject and the verb just to confuse the test taker. But if we just follow through with the logic of the sentence, it would not take too much trouble to actually identify that the first trenches is the one that has yielded the evidence. And the subject here is in the plural form. So that means the singular verb yields cannot work, be and D go off. Now in the remaining answer choices, we can see that there is a split at the beginning, but I would like to highlight another difference so that at the same time I can explain this concept as well. We can see that there is a difference between were arising and arose. Now this is a trigger to check for tenses. Were arising is written in the past continuous form, and arose is a simple past construction. See, tenses are best understood by a timeline in which this is the present, this is the past, and this is the future. So if I wanted to talk about the simple past, I would just put a dot in the past because I'm indicating that this was a general information of the past. For example, I could put something in the simple past like, I forgot to eat dinner last night. So see, this is just an instance in the past. Last night being that past time, and forgot just in the simple past to say that this was a general information of the past. But when we use the past continuous, you can't say, for example, I was eating dinner last night. Well, you can't do this because this would mean that this eating action was ongoing the whole of last night. So when can I exactly use the past continuous? Well, the past continuous should be mentioned like this. It's an ongoing action in the past, but at a very specific point in time. So there is a very specific time that needs to be mentioned. So you can say I was eating dinner last night at 10 p.m. or we can say I was eating dinner last night when you called. So this called is in the simple past, which acts as a specific reference point. So at that time, this was the ongoing action. So if we take this logic back into these answer choices, we can see that these past continuous actions do not have a specific reference point in the past. That when were they actually arising? So this indicates that we don't actually have to use the past continuous. We just have to use the simple past to give a general information about the past. So we can get rid of A and C. This leaves us with the right answer choice, E for echo.